Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm back with a bit of transfer news. Yeah, I'll be completely honest, I didn't expect to be making another video so soon after the season. Obviously my last vlog was 2 days ago for our last game of the season against Oxford, but I'm back again making another video. As I said, didn't expect to do it, but we've made our first signing of the summer. Swansea City have completed the signing of Zeidane Inoussa from BK HACKEN for an undisclosed fee. Yeah, so we've already got another signing, a new signing, which I think is going to be very, very good for us. You know, he seems really decent. I haven't seen too much of him in all honesty, but you know, wingers are one area where we needed to strengthen and where we needed more depth. Obviously, we have got Ronald and Sung who've been playing very well in recent weeks, but aside from them, we don't really have much backup in those positions. I know a lot of this season we were playing Peter Harris there, but obviously we don't have him anymore, and even when we did, he wasn't an out-and-out winger anyway. Bianchini can play there, but I think he's a little bit better when he plays through the middle. So yeah, we haven't got that many options when it comes to the winger positions. So I think it's definitely an area we need to improve and build on, and have more squad depth. So yeah, I'm delighted that we've signed him. He's 22 years old as well, so still really young. I think he's the same age as Sung. So yeah, we've got some young players now. Ronald's not too Ronald's young as well, so we've got a lot of wingers who hopefully will have a bright future and will stay here for a long time. But yeah, he signed on a 5-year deal, and he will join officially on the 1st of July. So yeah, we've got him for 5 years, which I think is really good. When you sign someone young, you want to try and give them quite a large contract. And yeah, as I said, I do think it was a position that we needed to improve on. He also knows Melker Whittle as well. Obviously played together for Sweden in the youth setup. So yeah, it's always good when players know each other, because they'll both be entering the building together, obviously not really knowing anybody else in the squads aside from each other. So when they both come into the squad, they'll have each other, which I think will massively help. You see with Franco and Ronald, obviously I know they didn't know each other before, but I think Franco coming in really helped Ronald, as obviously they both speak Portuguese. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier, and they've got a really good friendship. So I think it will be something similar with Inoussa and Whittle. I'm delighted that we've got 2 signings already. The transfer window hasn't even opened, and we've already got 2 players that will be coming in the summer. I know Melker Whittle signed earlier on in the year and we loaned him back, so that's going to feel like a new signing. And obviously now we've got Inoussa as well. So yeah, we've already got 2. I know that obviously the fans won't want us to stop there, and I'm certain that the club don't have any plans to make them to our only signings. I think we can definitely build on that and try and get a few more. It is hard to judge, but I think we are going in the right direction. Obviously bringing in Modric, giving Sheehan the full-time job, bringing in Whittle and Inoussa. Hopefully now we can convince the likes of Harry Darling to stay. Hopefully Franco stays, and we can really build. And it'll be a really good season for us next season if we get everything right. And I think we're stepping in the right direction for that. So yeah, this looks like a really promising signing. As I said, 22 years old, winger. So yeah, he's got a lot of his career ahead of him, and hopefully he can get off to a good start at the Swans. But yeah, he started off his career at Caen in France. He played for both their first team and their second team, and then he went on a loan to Real Murcia in Spain. He had 2 loan spells there, and then he went to Valencia CF on a loan as well, and then he went to Broma Pocana, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Where he spent a bit of his time there, and then obviously he signed for BK HACKEN then, who we've signed him from, which is a Swedish club, and he's been there since last year. 22 appearances, 6 goals. So yeah, that's a pretty good return, I think, for a winger. Obviously if he was a striker, you'd probably expect a few more goals, but for a winger, I don't think that's bad at all. It's better than Ronald and Sung. I know it's a different league. He might struggle when he comes through to start with, which is obviously expected, but I think that's a really respectable goal return for a winger. So yeah, he definitely looks bright. Obviously he's played for the Sweden under-17s, under-19s and under-21s as well. As I mentioned, obviously he would have played with Melker Whittle But yeah, you know, I think it's really good that we've signed someone already, you know, 2 days after the season has finished. You know, that shows real sort of intent and ambition from the club. And you know, I think it's always good when you can get the manager the players he wants. And I think, you know, it's really good for Sheehan because, you know, in the past, you know, in all respect to the managers we've had in the past, you know, they've come under a bit of criticism, but you know, at the end of the day, they didn't always get the players they wanted. You look at Russell Martin, for example, and Luke Williams. I mean, the only one who seemed to get all the signings that he wanted was Michael Duff, and you know, none of them really turned out to be the right signings. Obviously, look at Christian Pedersen. You know, he's barely played for us. You know, it's not his fault, obviously, but yeah, you know, there's some players there who've barely played. Look at Josh Ginnelly as well. I know he's obviously been unlucky with injury, but yeah, they're two signings under Duff that haven't really played much for us. But then on the bright side, you have got players like Josh Tymon, who was signed under Michael Duff, and I think, you know, Josh Tymon's been excellent. But yeah, as I said, I think it is good that we can bring in players for Sheehan, you know, give him the players that he wants, and yeah, hopefully he can get off to a good start next season, and hopefully he fits into the team, settles in nicely. Obviously we've got a little bit of depth now when obviously Ronald and get injured. You know, obviously we all hope that that doesn't happen, but at least we know we've got the comfort of having backups. And yeah, obviously he won't be joining us quite yet because the transfer window isn't officially open, but to get a deal done over the line, as I said, already shows very, very good ambition from the club. And yeah, I really hope that he can turn out to be a good player for us. There are rumours saying that the price tag is said to be around 6 million, which, if that is true, I think that's really, really good business from us to, because, you know, obviously it's hard to tell whether he'll be worth that or not, but to even be spending that much is you know, very, very good for us in recent years. You know, we haven't bought a player for that much money for a long time, and you know, we normally buy players on a free, or we bring young players in on loan. You know, we don't often spend that much money, which, you know, is showing good intent, and hopefully now with Modric we can get a few more deals like that over the line. But as I said, very, very promising signing, and hopefully he plays very, very well for us when he joins. But yeah, welcome to Swansea City, Zeidane Inoussa. But yeah, once again, a massive thanks for watching this. A big thank you to everyone as well for subscribing. Obviously I've hit 1,900 now, so a massive thanks for that. Obviously you've got the big one next now, which will be 2,000 subscribers, so hopefully I can get that by the end of this calendar year. But yeah, as I said, once again, a massive thanks for everyone that subscribed and helped me get to that, and a massive thanks for watching this video once again. I will be back soon for some kind of video over the pre-season. Obviously there won't be any vlogs or previews or anything like that, but I will be back with some content shortly. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.